Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yep.
Awesome. And I didn't plug in my headphones, so if I need to do that, just actually, let me just do that now. Sorry, y'all. I just got off of work not too long ago.
No
How's
No
every,
worries.
worries.
how's everybody doing
We're good. We're good.
this time? Awesome. Thank you for being patient.
We're pretty patient, I think.
I love it. I love it. Uh, all right.
Hey, you were on time, so that's better than some people that we've interviewed. So, oh, I can't hear you anymore. I was gonna say, I'm like, I thought I heard saw some talking happening.
I'll just go ahead and leave those off. I want to interrupt the excitement already as it is.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. So yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. How's everybody doing?
Good.
fantastic.
And
Awesome.
thanks for agreeing to come on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, actually. It's when you guys said talk about Indigo and anything about Indigo, I was on board. I love it. There's so many things that I'm having epiphanies of why something exists and why this exists and it's just my wife and I have these epiphanies every night because there's things that I was working on in the past that are now coming full circle and why it makes sense of why it's now being presented to the
Yeah.
world, to my and to myself. So it's really neat.
So yeah. Well, I guess we'll get started then.
Okay, let's go. If you guys want me to turn this off, I can. But if you guys are okay with it, awesome.
I don't know. What do you
I'm
say,
good.
Chris? You're
I
good?
I don't
I'm
care.
good. Whatever,
Okay.
you do you.
All right, let's be real,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Let's give people what they deserve.
What they deserve. So, Indigo is an interesting band name. And I'm pretty sure people probably don't understand how to pronounce it right away, like the color indigo. How did you
Right.
come up with it and decide on the band name?
So, a crazy story. We were in Monroe, Georgia, with Josh Lander and Lee Rouse, and we're finishing up which what we thought was going to be our first record. And Jaden Dimsdale was there, also known as Teddy Swims. Addie Maxwell uh, was there as well, and we started talking about a story I had about a little boy and so on and so forth. And we talked about spiritual things and uh, UFOs and aliens. It just got very interesting topics were coming up. And Jaden started, jumping around with the idea of indigo kids and um, all those, spiritual kind of things. And Addie's like, or he's all like, how about indigo? And Addie already had some kind of like design already. He had this flower four-leaf clover with NDGO in it, and the colors were already set up, and it was just like it just fell into place. So we're like, okay. And at first it had you know, taken a second for us to understand what we were looking at, and having the abbreviation like that was, in my opinion, been done before, but it was something new that we all resonated with. And so we just ran with it, and we didn't know how we were going to market it, but I guess at that point we didn't care. We were just having fun, I guess. But yeah, no, I would say the reason for the name started with that conversation, and then of course Jaden definitely pushed it in that direction, and we all smiled, we all agreed. Addie already made up, some artwork, and that's how we ran. So yeah, and it's funny because I'm in the middle of a book that I'm writing for a few years now, and at first I didn't understand, and I my main character's name um was, between this character named Jiven or something else, and I told my wife last night I had an epiphany. So the little boy I had this dream about and this story that we talked about that night, um Addie kind of made this image of a little boy going through a door, And turns out, I told my wife last night, I was like, and this is the whole full circle thing. I was like, I know what my main character's name is. And she's like, what's his name? And I was like, his name is gonna be Indigo, spelled with an I. So, and of course, I'm excited about that. So that came full circle last night. That was one of those things where I was like appreciating the universe and what it had given me. And so I ran with that. And so it's just been on that kind of frequency of just any little message that's come across, it just ties into everything else and it just works perfectly fine. And the reason, of course, I resonated also with NDGO, it's because you listen to music, you don't see it, so you got to take the eyes out. So just close your eyes, listen to what we're trying to tell you, and or at least spread the message. And not every song is going to be a message. Maybe it's just something that just fuck with it, just have fun with it, just do whatever you want. It's not, so yeah, I jump all over the place. But yeah, Indigo is something that has grown to mean a lot more than just the name itself. So
So
Yeah.
speaking of jumping all over the place, you said you were in a conversation when the band name came up. Part of that conversation you said you were talking about UFOs, so I gotta know, you ever seen one?
I've seen some things, and as a matter of fact, so we live out in the country, and so we were outside. It was me, myself, I mean my myself, my wife, my my oldest daughter, and my two daughters, and we're laying down on the trampoline, and my youngest started mentioning how um she asked us the same question. Have you ever seen something? I was like, well, I saw something in California when I was out there, and it's just I couldn't explain it, and so it stuck with me. And my buddy Killingsworth is the only other person that was awake during the time that this happened. So it was only him and I that saw it. Our buddy Galvin was passed out in the back of the car. So my youngest daughter started asking if we had ever had experience, went into it, and it's almost like she manifested. She kept saying how she wanted to see one. And so where we're laying, all four of us were laying under the stars. And I started pointing out this specific star that was just doing very weird things. And I said, hey, can you guys look at that for me? So we all fixated on this light. And sure enough, as it was moving erratically, it just disappeared. And so we just looked at each other and we go, there you go. The universe just, the universe never says no. It's always telling you, it's always a yes. It's always a yes. So she wanted to see a UFO. There she was. So we saw that.
Nice.
Other than that, it's just, I guess you can say we've seen things I can't explain, especially out in the deserts. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely witnessed something like that. I used to live in North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina. I was like a quarter of a mile from the ocean, and one night my wife and I are just outside with my son. He's learning how to ride his bike, and we're just looking up like toward the ocean, and just like you, like a star making weird movements. And we're like, what's going on? And all of a sudden it's like coming lower, 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 lower. And we're like,
Oh,
what's happening? It stayed there for about 2 minutes, and then split second it was gone. Like shot off the horizon and it was gone. We're like, what? So yeah, it's wild when you see something like that. Um, Speaking of seeing things that are wild, saw the selective hearing music video. I know you've released other music videos in the past. How was making the video for selective hearing different than the others?
um, again, I just let it flow the way it was going. So, previous to this, we would always plan and think and randomly just like last minute come up with something. So, and it was great. One of my best friends, such an amazing human being. I've known him for over 10 years, and he's dedicated so much time and love, and he did everything, um, just about every other music video, other than selective hearing. And he's been the one that would usually come up with this ideas. And yeah, no, he did this beautiful thing that inspired me. But he had just gotten married. There's a lot of things he was taking care of. So um there was not enough time at the moment for him to focus on that music video. As a matter of fact, it was actually a music video, I See You. We were scheduled to release, and again, wedding, and he had major things going on, so we paused it. But then we went ahead and jumped into selective hearing just so we can see where we're going to end up. but it played out this way. And a friend of mine reached out that I had worked with him before. His name is Sterling, and he's like, "Hey man, I love this. I love these, videos you're putting up." And he says, "Let me do your music video." And it was actually the start of it. Also was the artwork. He loved the art. The colors were what captivated him. And Emmanuel and I are the ones that started designing this. And so that's how that started first. It was working with Emmanuel, great designer, to come up with the dice. You're gambling on a relationship here. And so the colors inspired Sterling to reach out. Unfortunately, Kevin couldn't work at the moment. He had, again, very busy schedule. Great guy. He had already enough clients on his list that we knew the understanding, but we moved forward with that. So Sterling hit me up and we went with that. I said, Sterling, I would love to go ahead and give you the shot on that, because you definitely have something here. And all he said was, I want to go off the colors. And we started talking ideas, we handled business, and then the universe sent us the next step. He's all like, "Hey man, what's your budget for location?" I said, "Be honest with you, I have $500 left. Like, what are we doing here?" He's all like, "How about 250? Let's do 250 as a budget for that. And the rest, if we need food or whatever the case may be, or anything else that comes up." So he actually is like, $250. I think we can get something. And I think it was like either, yeah, $500 or 250. Anyways, he calls me up randomly, lets me know that his boy Sean and him just bagged us a mansion for $250. And so I was like, okay, I need to know what the actual price for this is. They're like, it's about 4K a night. And I was like, how did you guys swing this? Well, it was, Sean's mother, I believe, is real estate and agent. So it was one of those that was their property. So it was just so happened. It was, again, luck. And I don't believe in luck. It's just the universe. I was asking for location. Sterling was asking for location, and the universe isn't going to say no. And we both knew that we are going to come up with something very massive, just because we just said, hey, we're just going to try this. Why not? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And so we started leaning into this. He hits me up, have that mansion, and that's how that rolled. And which led into, of course, the performance. Jeremy had an emergency, family emergency he had to handle. He couldn't be in the music video. That's our drummer. And of course, my boy Dave's always ready and prepared for the music videos. He comes in strong. Tyler came in, helped us out, which is the bassist that you see in the music video. And then, of course, Mike on the drums. They all just came in prepped, ready to go, and gave me their everything. I couldn't have asked for any better team. I mean, the team that was there, that showed up ready to work, was ready to work. And we handled it that way. But there was little things that I would see. It was amazing. Just seeing, like, for example, there was while writing this song, there was a fire alarm. We actually have a video out there, and it's kind of funny because a fire alarm went off, and then we have a fire alarm go off during the music video. So as we're writing the song 5 years ago, because that's how old this song is, 5 years later, me doing the music video for the same song, there's a fire alarm going off. So it's very so synchronicities were just perfect. So I'm not going to question it. It happens. I mean, it was just one of those that I can't explain. It's just, I kept asking, I kept receiving, and I kept appreciating, and I could not steer away from that. There was no, I'm having a bad day or bad few minutes. No, I haven't had any days like that since I've allowed myself to see this for what it is.
Yeah.
So,
It was fate.
right, exactly. It was perfect. It was fate. That's right.
It was fate that you got to be in an amazing looking mansion, because it looked like a really nice place.
Oh, I'm telling you, it was amazing. I even told my wife, I was like, let Indigo blow up. I'm gonna buy I'll buy this house for you.
Maybe
But
someday, you never know.
maybe you never know. And
Could be
that's the
part of
uh,
fate.
right, right. And that's another full circle that would happen. And that's how I think. But I also don't put myself in a box.
Right.
I have a 9 to 5, actually it's a 7 to 5. And I'm very appreciative because I work with my brothers and they've taught me a lot. And so it's not easy work either. It's heavy machinery. Like we're mechanics, so we work on this heavy machinery equipment, cat and excavators and front end loaders, skid steers, and so on and so forth. So I get to learn from them on a mechanical sense, what we do for, work. And then, but I get to know them as humans, as we're growing, we're teaching each other things about us that we are trying to achieve. So I've never allowed myself to put me in the box. So that right there, I decided to ask the universe if it could just pay me to exist. So the best way, I guess the universe said, hey man, you're going to work with family and you're going to make money and then you're going to be able to work with your wife on NDGO. So that's your that way and the closest friends that I have. So all these things that I'm seeing are leaning into everything I believe in. And uh yeah. I'm sorry, I steered off the
It's
question there.
okay.
All good.
Yeah,
All good. But
I was gonna say I did see your post earlier and you were on like your job site.
right, right. And so so yeah, so it's but I steered off from the question again, but if you can reel me back in, because that's the kind of person you got to reel me back in.
there wasn't a question. We were just in free convo at that point.
Oh, okay, perfect. And that's what I love because as you noticed, I am I'll just rant on and tell you my entire day, honestly, because
That's
I
all right.
review
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
review my day. And so again, I started telling myself that's what it was. I started telling myself that I wanted to get paid to exist. So I'm learning from family, working with family. And then I told myself I was going to be and of course, it's not about competing or anything, but if you look at yourself as the best, you can become the best. So I kept saying, I am a great father. I am a great husband. I'm a loving human being. I just want to continue to try to give the world what it deserves, and there's already enough animosity, there's enough anger. So I want to kind of combat that. I have 2 girls that I want to leave something very powerful for, and I would hate for them to deal even with more problems because of my generation or whatever. So I want to be part of the solution. So I asked the universe for a way to pay for their dreams. And so I've always been a dreamer. I've been chasing this for, I think about, I would say a little more than 5 years now. And I just can't say no to their dreams. So the only way I can financially do that is if I dedicate myself to an art that no one else is doing, images that no one else is doing, because we all have it. We all have the capability. We just got to tune into that channel, that frequency. You hear all these frequencies. You just got to find your channel. And whatever that is, mine is indigo. And universe just starts feeding you all the information you need to know uh, to lay it down, track it down, create the artwork, the videos, talk to the people with respect and love, because they're artists just like you. And the way you're treating them I just see everyone as a mirror. So I love myself. So if I'm speaking to you very rudely, then I'm not in love with myself at all. So right now, I could literally look at this camera. I'm staring at myself right now and I'm teaching myself a lesson. So in this case, I'm looking at you and I'm enjoying the conversation because I know that the way I'm speaking to you is the way I want my soul to feel at the end of the night. So, which is gratitude and love and happiness. So that's just the way I live now. That's it.
Yeah.
I decided to just say, try it. What's the worst that can happen? If people hate on you loving, I mean, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So I just at that point, so then the universe gave me that, and the universe answered the whole music video aspect. And my boy Jeremy's great with marketing. Again, small budget, nothing massive, $200, which we've dumped money in other previous videos, and we just could not figure it out. And Losing Game, I feel like was, which is a previous release. I feel like that was the runway to our successful release this time. Because Losing Game, my boy Dave Williams, god damn, that man is an artist. I can't wait to see what he unfolds for you guys, because he's that's another person that people need to be aware of. And Jeremy has a project of his own, and you guys can find his project Kickflip. But what I want to say is I'm surrounded by so many talented people that, again, I ask the universe, find me the best people that I can work with, that can become my brothers and sisters that I can rely on, and they can rely on me. And so I'm finding those individuals that are willing to sacrifice everything, even their sleep, their eating habits, just so we can create this one piece of art, whether it's 24 hours or a weekend. And it's just very appreciative. I'm very appreciative for what's going on. So that's how everything unfolded for what's happening with that music video itself. So yes, I think Losing Game helped us move forward in that. Leading, the run, we set up the runway with Losing Game, and Dave Williams was a mastermind. One of the masterminds, of course, Indigo, Dave Williams, Lee Rouse, and Josh Landry. We all sat in Atlanta for a few days. I would say about a week or so. We drove down there and we came out with 3 songs, which I'm excited to let you guys know. I can honestly say we have at least 10 to 15 more songs to release for y'all, without a doubt. Like, that's already in the vaults. And I don't care if people say you're not supposed to say those things. I don't care. I don't know. It's my thing. Um, I love it. I just want to share, literally be transparent with what's going on, because it's exciting. It really is. And if you hold that excitement back, then the universe is going to say, well, you're not too excited because you're not sharing it enough. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't share, I'm not talking about social media. I've got a
Yeah.
great behind that. But I'm talking about me personally. This is what I want to do with people. Like, hey, let me tell you, I'm writing a song, or I wrote this song with Kevin Carestis that's called This, and I wrote a song with Dave Williams and Jeremy, and it's named like this, and it goes like this. So we have a ton of work for you guys, and I'm excited to share it with the world, because there's 2 more that we did in Atlanta that I just mentioned with the guys. One is called Tripping on You. The second one is called Vibe. Some of my favorite songs I've ever written, and they're so exciting. And then I have one that's very deep conversation that I think people need to start comprehending, that has occurred for as long as humankind has existed. But I have a song called I See You, and the homies, previous members in the band, Brandon, uh, Sydney, and Tony, we wrote this song, and it was very massive, and with Josh Landry, of course, but it was very, very impactful. It's very dark, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed. It's a topic that needs to be brought to people's attention, whether they like it or not. And it's, if the fans stick around and they just see the message for what it is, we're not, here to tell you, you know, what to do. But if you decide to stick around and enjoy the song for what it is, and learn from it, I see you. And if you decide to leave, and because it's something that you don't resonate with, I see you. It's plain and simple. It's no big deal. I'm just here. The universe gave me a message, and I have to deliver it. It is what it is. And so if the topic, again, doesn't resonate with you, then it is what it is. I'm not here to please anyone. I'm here to please myself first, and my loved ones, feed them, nourish them, and love them until I can't anymore, which that's physically impossible and mentally impossible. So, um, and take the next release, in strides. That's all I can do. Cause, again, it's one of those that, your fans either resonate with you because you're real and you're one of them, and you just happen to tap into that radio station, or they don't, and it's okay. I'm still gonna have love for you. It is what it is, man. I have family members that we don't see eye to eye on everything, but I love them to death. I will do anything for them. Can I
Yeah.
speak for them on that same notion? Absolutely not. That's on them. Like they can share their emotions with whoever they want, however they want. I'm not gonna judge them. But as far as me, I can 100% tell you, I love unconditionally. I am so happy right now that there is no hate in my life, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, so there's a lot of things that you'll see. It's not about pleasing everyone. It's about giving you what it has to be said at that very moment. And I've just been fortunate enough to tap them in. Yes, some songs are fun. I myself, Jeremy, and Dave wrote a song called Tweaker. It's a great song. It's so funny. Excited. Don't know when that's gonna get dropped because it's something different. It's something bizarre. It's Indigo. It's I can honestly say Indigo's is very interesting when it comes to that. It's
Yeah.
just it's fun. It's supposed to be fun, right? It could be very deep, meaningful, it could be loving, it could be funny. So Indigo is just whatever it is at that very moment. And we're not here
So
to
so I did see that you started writing a new record back in like February of 2023.
yes.
So
Yes.
have you guys picked a release date at all for the new record?
Oh boy. So I'm glad you brought that up because I tried to steer away from that topic. I
I mean,
call
you're
it
talking about all this new music that you've written, all
yeah,
these songs, and I'm like, well,
yes. So I
we
call
had
it
we had to
okay.
know.
Yeah, so I call it Dino. Uh Dyno, like dynamite, but not because of an explosive. It's explosive movement. And the reason I picked the word dino is because I used to rock climb religiously when I was in high school. I was sponsored. My best friend Derek Reinhardt, introduced the sport to me with our coach Mayville, Todd Mayville, and in rock climbing, there's this move that's called the dyno. So it's from one spot or from one move hold to the next hold just simultaneously at the same time. So both hands, both feet off the wall. And as you're jumping to the next move, that's called the dyno,
Hmm.
right? So dynamic movement. And I'm sorry, I don't know by definition, but that's how I can explain it to you. And so I put a folder and I called it Dyno. And we were actually writing the song called Industry Fantasy. Um, that's what it is, industry fantasy.
Hmm.
Um, and Dave, myself, Jeremy were working with Kev, and Kev said a couple things that stood out to me. And I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, man, I've been wanting to write a record that could probably be a waste of money, or it could be legitimately a gift. And I don't want to miss an opportunity. So would you be willing to work with me? Mind you, I don't play instruments. I come up with melodies. I come up with ideas. I come have all these sounds, guitar ideas, but I don't play instruments. But I have these recordings with myself, mimicking violin or guitar or piano, drums, whatever you can think of, right? Anyways, so I asked him, would you be down to help me write a few songs? And at the moment, I was thinking, I'll try this first one. If it doesn't work out, I get back with my team and we'll continue writing. And he's like, yeah, man. So we scheduled it, and I had this idea, and it started off like, um, it was funny because like big dick energy, and something funny. But the reality was, I think subconsciously, I was making it a joke because the topic was so much darker than that. And it may sound dark. I guess you can say it was much deeper, not darker, but deeper. My subconscious was knocking at my, you know, front door telling me, hey man, you need to snap out of it. You've got to change because there's a big change coming and you got to be part of it. And if you're not, you're going to be left behind and you're going to lose, everything you've ever loved, everything. So if you don't snap out of this, dream, you're gonna be in a very, very bad situation. So the first song is called Different Kind of Love. And it literally showed me a different kind of love of life. So it literally starts off with lyrics, can you hear him knocking at the front door, and so it was my subconscious trying to get out and give me these messages that I had. And then so Kevin and I would say less than, I'm gonna say way less than 16 hours. I would say maybe, because I got to I drove from here, Corpus, drove to San Antonio, got to his place around 11 a.m. It was like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. By 2 a.m., we had a full song done, Different Kind of Love. And I drove back that same night, which I do a lot. I cannot, if there's any way I can make it home that same night, if I have to drive 24, even maybe 48 hours, I'll do it. I'll stay awake for that long just so I can get home to be with my family. So any possible chance I get, I try to head back home as soon as I can, because it's every second counts for me now. And so yeah, so I'm listening to the song. My wife is listening to the song. Then she finds out we wrote this song under a full moon. And so throughout the entire, well, these are the things we start realizing after a few songs. I think it's like after the sixth song, we realize that we're writing. And every session that I have by accident, because every time we set them, it would cancel. We had to rewrite it. We noticed that it was on a full moon. It was on a full moon. And we were like, okay, this is very interesting. What's happening here? So I'd be outside coming up with these random melodies. My wife and I would just dance and laugh. And so I would have my voice memos. And then so I hit him up again. I was like, hey, bro, I have another song. We were at my daughter's volleyball tournament. And I'm only letting you know, like, in order of the songs that I was writing, so you can see this crazy story unfolding. It's called Y'all Are Mean. And I have a voice recording that my wife and my two daughters are just in jokingly manner, just making fun of me. And so I started saying, y'all are mean to me. Y'all are mean, mean, mean. Y'all are mean, y'all are mean. And I started messing with that. And that's where we get the song Y'all Are Mean. And so that song resonated with me on a deeper level as well, because I wrote F you on the dotted line, because your employer every Friday signs your check because he owns you. And I want people to realize that, hey, man, like, you got to figure it out, because if someone owns you, you have no freedom to do anything you want to do. So you have a 9 to 5, day in, day out. You got to find a way to crunch all that in, make the bills, try to get this crazy dream of yours, pack it into as many hours as you can, sleep as little as you can, if you can withstand the pain of it, and then find an outlet and then just release it into the universe with like great intentions. And so that's what we did. And so Y'all Are Mean came out massive, another full moon situation. And so I was like, hey, Kev, bro, can we write a few more songs? He's like, hey, man, let's set this up. So we set up a few days, again, would cancel, and then we reset them. And I would drive there, drive back. So every night that I would go, or every day that I go to Kevin Caresta's house, we would write this massive song. And I can honestly say I love my record with a passion. I've written with some of the best people I've ever met, and I love their work, man. But I'll tell you what, Bert said something when they started the use that he's his number one fan. I am my number one fan. I am Kev Caressa's number one fan right now, because thanks to what my life has become and what I've seen as a kid and growing up, and all these things I've put myself in, and situations I put myself in, has taught me so many things that now it's just almost like it's just bleeding through, wanting to be out. And so Y'all Are Mean was written, and then we wrote this song called Broke Empire. I mean, that's what it is, Broke Empire. And then we wrote my favorite song that I've ever written so far. It's called Supreme Leader. And so I'm spiritual. I'm not religious on an aspect of Christianity, Catholic, Muslim. I'm not either of those. I'm just spiritual. I just believe there's a God. I know there's something that created me. It's without a doubt, because someone is creating indigo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So without a doubt, there has to be some creator, right? I mean, this laptop has a creator. And so Supreme Leader became my favorite song because my on my 27th birthday, which is weird because my birthday was just a couple days ago, and actually yesterday.
Happy
One of my
belated
buddies,
birthday.
thank you. One of my buddies, I had mentioned I want to do acid, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to take acid?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he got me acid, and on my 27th birthday, I went on a wild trip that now I truly believe was the beginning of Indigo. Did I know that at the time? Absolutely not. Did I know that up until, or did I know that as I was pursuing music? No, not at all. I had no idea. It took 10 years for me to realize that when I took acid, it was a doorway that opened up and allowed my mind to just snap out of it and be like, all right, hey, you want to see some crazy shit or what? And so I guess my mind was like, yeah, let's do it. And through the entire trip, the one thing that stood out, it was this energy kept wanting to buy my soul. And it was like, why? And it kept saying like, hey, you say you'll do anything for music. I was like, what? Okay. And so I would go on these trips, and every time I would say, no, man, I can't sell my soul. What are you talking about? And mind you, I'm high as hell, 7.5 hours being, under this acid trip. And this entity kept, hey, let me buy your soul. And every time I said no, it would put me through these very painful situations. I call it my 10 years of hell. And yeah, that's how it felt. It felt like 10 years of hell in that acid trip. And so I learned and I studied. And during that time frame, um, I knew there was something that I needed to do. I just didn't know what yet. Um, and so I dug deep and I tried to understand this. And I still don't understand it completely, but my wife and I had this massive epiphany a couple weeks ago. And at the end of my acid trip, it said everything is as simple as this. And it was me looking down into the toilet and the reflection of the water. Yes, crazy. And I'm looking at myself in this reflection in the water of my toilet, and it says your life is as simple as this. And it showed me a ton of music videos, just fast forwarding. Mind you, I haven't started Indigo. I hadn't started a project yet. I would think I was writing acoustics here and there with friends, but it wasn't nothing. I never thought I'd pursue music the way I have. And the slideshow just showing me a bunch of these songs or I mean music videos. Um, and then it just grabbed a cigarette. Mind you, I don't smoke cigarettes. It's not cigarette. And I just threw the cigarette into the water, and it says as simple as that. Well, Dave Chappelle's new special blew my mind because he said the exact same thing, my acid trip, and my wife and I just immediately look at each other's eyes, and we're like, "What the fuck was that?" And she's all, we hadn't spoken about my acid trip in a minute, and because we bring it up once in a while, but it had been a while already, and I realized there was something there. There was something that was lining up. So I was like, okay, all right, bet. So I seriously think there's something, I guess you could say, changing the train tracks for me. Every chance I know that I want to do something good and good intentions, I guess you can say, it puts me in a track that it's not impossible. I guess it's, you don't want to jump off the train. You don't want to jump off this ride because it's so exciting. Everything, the next step is more exciting. And so yeah, that's how deep this stuff gets. And whether all I gotta say is just not, I'm not doing this on my own. It's honestly has been great energy. Nothing about it has been bad. Because that song Supreme Leader, man, that acid trip, that's how I was able to write that song.
Can I ask you something about that I find it, well, maybe not a question, but maybe more of a statement. Um, the interesting thing is, you said that during your acid trip, it opened up doorways for you. What I find interesting is Jim Morrison had that same epiphany during his acid trip. He said that it opened up his doors of perception, which is why he named the band The Doors.
Can I tell you something? My buddy Joe Garcia was one of my friends that was there, and Aaron Zamora, he was there that night, and Joe's wife, Rita, and my wife, Vivian, and we were all hanging out. At the beginning of the acid trip, I can honestly say I sang like I never sang before. I was freaking out. They were smiling. They're like, bro, that sounds so good. And it's almost like it was showing me what I was gonna do. It was very odd, everything. But Joe, it's like, hey man, can I show you something? I think I had heard the Doors, not knowing who the Doors were, mind you. I don't know artists by name. I just know them by sound. And I've heard it obviously because we listen to classic rock, my family, when I used to work construction. And when we were construction, we played classic rock, Tejano, whatever music was on, everybody, all of us would resonate with whatever sound. Well, until Joe introduced Pink Floyd to me the way he did, it was actually during my acid trip. So I think there's something there. I think there's a connection there that people, I think if you again jumped on that frequency, you can connect to other artists that have done the same thing. And I honestly think the sound that I'm creating is because of the individuals, legends before me. I think they leave these energies and these frequencies. And of course, energy doesn't die. It just, it's just relocated. It's just moving around. So let's just hypothetically, maybe let's just give it a thought that, let's say Prince, Michael Jackson, Morrison, and who else? Just name your favorite artist. Let's say they already, are dead. What makes you think they're not hanging out, giving all these other people ideas to write their songs,
Right.
That's just, I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that I think everyone's on a frequency of sound that we have enough consciousness to understand that it's out there. Not everyone hears it because they don't want to hear it or they just can't hear it. You just gotta break the ice and start trying to find it. It's like you're digging through this big old forest and like you got to push one tree aside, and whether you think you can or not, that tree is massive. How am I going to move it out of the way? We don't have to move it away. Just walk around it and find another path. So, and that's what I've noticed, that if you allow yourself to listen to these frequencies, it's going to give you what you need. For example, if you are a painter, you tap into that frequency, it's going to give you the painting you're asking for, because again, the universe does not say no. It is ready to give you what you want because that's how it works. If you want pain, it's going to give you pain. I've been there. If you want sex, drugs, and alcohol, you're going to get it. That's what it is. But if you want something different and you want to spread a different kind of love, then it's time to kind of like start paying attention. And sometimes it may take a year. You might be born and you might have it for the rest of your life. Sometimes it may take you 36 years to figure out. It may take you 40 years to figure out, but it's not the end for you. Just figure it out and try to make the next fork in the road the best one. Both possibilities are going to end up however you decide. So there's no bad outcome. It's how you see, or the perspective, it's your perspective. So yeah, sorry, I had to go on that rant.
No, it's all good. So even with all this that you've been through, have you found any like a large variance in your musical influence from this?
So your question is, can I let you know what artists I really dig into to find my sound? Is that what you?
Yeah, yeah, because honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm not going to tell you who, but when I listened, it's still to this day, it resonates with one of my favorite bands. Like it's very akin to the sound and the vibe. Uh, Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think you guys do it better. Um, but yeah, yeah. Where do you
I'm
pull that
just
influence from?
so. This is gonna sound weird. It is music I listen to, and I enjoy it. I used to listen to a ton of music. I'm talking about Dance Gavin Dance, The Used. The Used has always been my favorite band. Anything that emo was coming out, anything along those genres, right? But at some point in time, bands like Issues came out, but Woe Is Me and Johnny Craig with his stuff. So a lot of soulful guys were coming out, was catching my attention. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, that they a lot of those artists started to influence me. Even Hands Like Houses was an influence, but the new record is not like that. I have not gonna sit here and try to make an excuse, but my brother Augie last summer he went on this rant of list actually before the summer last year he went on this rant about Miley Cyrus, and he would jam out her albums day in day out with Cardi B. So like I would talk shit to him and make fun of him even though I was digging the record myself. But it wasn't like that. It was more of like it was a jokingly manner, brother to brother, just teasing him. And I was understanding like this music and how Miley Cyrus just telling her story for what it was, and which is again out of all artists, right? Like what made me snap out of it. And she's her songs and the way she sang and the way she was um the sound design, everything that she was doing in that record just made sense, right? It made sense to me. And so then I was started seeing records differently. I used to listen to a song and people are probably gonna be like, this guy doesn't even really love music the way we do. But no, it's not like that. I love music in a whole different way. I study it. I don't just listen to it. I wonder like how many times they did that and why did they do this. And so sometimes I studied to a point where it was just started to make sense that everything was almost as if a pattern, right? And so I started digging into that plus the frequency that was just again positive energy, and it was telling me, hey man, your story's kind of similar but not. You live life, you have done crazy stuff in your time, and you have these deep emotions for things that you didn't understand as a child growing up or anything, and now you're starting to comprehend what life really is. And so I was like, okay. So then I would listen to Cardi B's production, massive, and of course Dave Williams is massive with production. So I started digging into that. I was like, okay, I know someone that could do that for me, and I know that, so we could start putting these puzzles together. And so I started calculating who I needed around to make this sound happen. So again, that's where losing game comes into play. Then tripping on you comes into play, and then it's vibe. The song that I'm gonna release next, which I briefly mentioned, it's called I See You.
Mhm.
It's just gonna be a drop, leave the message for what it is, and then we're gonna snap into what the other songs need to be released because I'm trying to get to Dino. My whole purpose is to release this message that I stumbled upon and I'm excited to share it with the world. So that's why everything again has led, I guess, every emotion, everything with what I heard for Cardi B, Miley Cyrus, and all these other artists. I just started listening to these records and the things started, standing out, and I just could not help myself but to just indulge and enjoy and just appreciate every moment that was happening, because I have no legit influence. All it is I hear sounds, and it reminds me of a game I used to play. For example, I have the soundbite of Mortal Kombat in one in different kind of loves breakdown, and it's literally fight. And
Yeah.
then we have KO in another song called We Never Know. And so there's so many things that I honestly can't tell you right now. There is no influence. I think life is influence. Every genre in the world is my influence. Um, my brothers are my influence, my wife, my kids, my life, people like yourselves. Everyone is an influence. I think what it is I decided to tune into the human race radio and like, okay, what's the topic for this month? What
Mhm.
have we all thought about? So I'm tapping into everyone's consciousness because it's all floating in the air, right? So I'm all like, hey, what's up, y'all? What do we need to talk about? And so I just leave it there on the table. Everyone gets to have a discussion about it like adults, and then walk away from it feeling happy because guess what? There's another release. Oh shit, what's the next one? What's the topic? All right.
Yeah.
And bringing it back to Supreme Leader, that was my acid trip, bringing me the first time I met God. And it was a very interesting situation. So again, my acid trip was very, very hectic and evil in certain parts, but there was this one moment that years down the road, now I write this song that is dedicated literally to how I felt about this acid trip and meeting God for the first time, but being who I am. So there's a part in there where you see Hector is about to jump out of his day-to-day, his 7 to 5 and start writing as Indigo. So you see that in the song called Supreme Leader. You see the shift where Hector is going from a 7 to 5, sits down behind his computer, or his phone, or is outside meditating, just because I have 2 acres, so I get to be barefoot outside as long as I want to be. There's no one telling me I can't do that. So yeah, I started writing this message for myself, and I could read some of it for you if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, and but yeah, this song's called Supreme Leader, and I'll give you some lyrics. And you can think of any sounds you want, fill it up in your mind, imaginate. But some of you have already heard it live. I'm pretty sure people have posted it live, but um, I'm excited for Dino, y'all. Dino is something insane. So do I have your attention?
Yes.
Good. Exhausted of being a zombie? It's time to get high. Shift, break all the boundaries, look past all the lies. Praying to the image of will not save your life. Screaming for the antidote with no soul in his eyes. So yeah, that is Supreme Leader.
Nice.
Yeah, and whether you understand it or not, it's okay. You'll find it eventually because everyone does. You have to. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, since you just read us like some lyrics and everything, do you personally have you had anyone personally come out to you, like come up to you and really resonate with a specific song or a lyric that has impacted them? Like a fan or even like someone you know already, like a friend or a family member?
I've had many. I've
Yeah.
had many, and I'm very grateful. Because I just again, not a cliche. It's the truth. There's people that think just like I do, that feel just like I do, that love just like I do. And and that's just another puzzle piece for me. It's almost like that individual is part of my soul that I'm missing. And so now I have a puzzle piece from that person, whatever story they told me. And they don't know me from Adam. I mean, you're telling you some of your darkest secrets to a fucking stranger, but it's not a stranger. It's someone that you can trust, and it's someone that you could be like, hey man, I have an issue. What do you think I should do? Well, man, don't take my answer as the only thing you should rely on, but I think you should feel what should be your next best move. I don't think you should make any rational decisions. I think we have been programmed to pretend as if we don't have time. You are the construct of your own time. So why not just slow it down? So again, I've had many people approach me with conversations and what their songs mean, and they all mean the world to me. Um, so yeah, no, I'm very appreciative. I welcome it. I just wish I could stop time and listen to every story
Right.
thoroughly and understand it and try to sit down, in a space and time. But in this physical realm, no, but I'm pretty sure we will have that conversation in some very, very nice room and just discuss what we thought that song meant and why it meant that and why are we talking about it in this nature and why did you pick that sound and why did Kevin pick that sound, and why did Kevin and Hector, sit there hours on end creating this massive project that no one else knows about until you present it to them. And that's that's those conversations I seek for is conversations like that. I
Yeah.
See,
I
and so to me, you sound very in tune with yourself. You try to be very perceptive of, what's best for you, what's best for what you're creating. Um, but has there ever been a moment where maybe you needed to revisit something you created, maybe kind of scrap it and rework it? And is there like one song maybe that sticks out that you really had to work on?
um Tweaker was one that I really had to work on, but that was something that I did during work hours and I kept getting distracted. So I was trying to organize this shed where we have all these parts for this equipment, and I was able to write lyrics to this instrumental that Dave had first constructed it, and then I put my little sense in there as far as productions and sounds that I thought, I would ask Dave, hey, can you add this, add that? And then I came up with the melody and all the lyrical content, which is a funny story. And so um, I would say that one. We've had a song also that will never see the light of day. Not because I don't want to. It's because the voice that's on that song is very, very doing great things right now. So I have his voice on one of my songs. I just can't release it with his voice on it because it's, breach contract or whatever the thing was. I never really got the details, but which doesn't bother me none. I'm very happy that everything is happening for everyone the way it's supposed to. And that song just wasn't meant to exist for whatever reason. It exists. I will show it to people when I'm in person. Hey man, remember that song you mentioned in that review? Yeah, man, here you go. But other than that, is it going to go further than that? Absolutely not. And that's okay. I'm happy and I resonate with that very well. Now, if you would have told me this when I paid the money and did everything that this was going to be happening, I would have been like, what the hell? But no, as of right now, I've been content for a while, and this in tune thing didn't kick in just like that. I've been at this since last year. Again, it was one of those, you either snap out of it or you lose everything. So um, this hasn't been long. This just has been the thing that I know feels great. I've never felt like this in my life other than being a child. Uh, but at some point in time, I lost it, whatever it was. Um, I couldn't tell you if it was a part of my happiness or part of someone else's happiness or um, uh, but yeah, so it gets that deep. And so you have to come to terms with it. You can't just put it on a shelf and be like, hey, I'll look at you 2 years from now, bro. No, man, you got to see it for what it is, and it is what it is. If you fucked up, you fucked up. If you loved the way you love, then it is what it is. But if you don't, then you're gonna have harder times. So that's why I say, man, try to find love in anything. It doesn't have to be another individual. You know, you can love yourself first, you know, because again, if you tell me that you love me, but you can't love yourself, then no, I don't believe you, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. So it don't matter whatever anybody says, your spouse, your dad, your mom, if they tell you they love you, but you see how miserable they are, how do you think that they can love you if they feel that way? They can't. There's no way they can't. I know there's pain, but if you love yourself, you can't cause any more pain. And so I had to come to terms with that. But that's just my viewpoint, you know. I'm not trying to preach it on anyone, but that's these, you know, you're in Hector's head, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, what makes you think this isn't Hector just in the mirror chalking, trying to figure
Never
it out?
know.
Exactly. We never know. But there's something that everybody thinks like that. Like, whoa. So which makes you think, why can't I tap into that frequency and find that art that I'm looking for? It doesn't have to be indigo. It could be
Yeah.
me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so again, my influence is literally sounds, anything and everything, movies like Bloodsport, the movie with Van Damme, and that I literally have sounds from that, and I didn't even realize I have sounds, and I was like, hey, I like that sound, Kev, can we use it? We put in a record, and I was like, I know that sound. What is that sound? Well, that following weekend, I just went on this old, you know, 90s binge of movies, 80s and 90s, martial arts when I was a kid, and I heard that sound. I was like, that's what it is. It's from Blood. So it's things like that. It's so influences, there's a lot of artists, but I think it's life. I think it's the sounds that we hear daily. I think it's if you tuned into a radio, you were listening to Tejano for 30 minutes and then you switched it over and then they're playing Michael Jackson's Beat It and you're like, hell yeah, that, but the switch is perfect. That's the kind of shit I'm working on. Like I'm trying to figure that out.
So before I ask my next question, actually, as we're talking, you know, you're talking about loving yourself before you love everyone else and being respectful for everybody. I have something that I think you would actually really vibe with here.
Okay.
Have you heard of the term sonder?
Sonder. I can't say that I have.
So
Maybe.
sonder is a term that means, or it's actually the description of the realization that at any given moment of a random passerby, they are living a life as complex as yours. And so there was advice on a YouTube show that I watch that somebody was given as a kid that I kind of pass along now. And it's before you do anything, consider Sonder. You
That's
don't know what
awesome.
someone's going through. They've got a complex life. Before you act, before you're, you know, getting road rage at the person in front of you, you know, something's going on. You don't know. With that being said, I do have a kind of left field question that I like asking. I feel like I know what you're gonna say. I feel like I've really gotten to know you in this last hour. So, my question is, I'd like to set it up. Johnny Depp says he got his inspiration for Jack Sparrow from Keith Richards' stage presence.
Okay.
Do you have any inspiration for your stage presence?
Got him thinking. He doesn't have an answer right away. Uh-oh.
That's a good I mean, that's a good thing.
Hmm. Well, the reason I paused for a big second is because there's a comedian that I love to watch. I obviously don't keep up with his stuff, but in the past few days I've noticed quite a bit of stuff. But there's a comedian that I saw, and now that I'm, of course, this was in, I would say I must have still been in the Marine Corps. I watched Cat Williams comedy. I can't remember which one it was. I couldn't tell you by name. All I remember is he made me laugh like no other. But he had this thing about um himself. It was Cat Williams, but that was the person that's on stage, that's gonna give you all the information. He's a vessel, I guess you can say, and he had the outfit, he had the stage set, like all comedians have their specials, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Um, Michael Jackson, of course, has and again, I don't watch music videos. I don't go search for it. I wish I had more time to do that, but I don't. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't watch music videos. I don't listen to music as much as I wish. I do listen to frequencies, like actual frequencies. I'll put them on. I'll listen to some friends, of course, my homies' music here and there, or some music that's recommended or something I'm about to work on. But as far as listening to music, it's here and there. I have more conversations than I listen to music. I speak to more people than actually watching videos. So yeah, mm, I would say the little bits and pieces of Michael Jackson I've seen. I know I've saw not too long ago. I think last year my daughters and my wife were like, "Here, sit down, watch Elvis with us." Okay, Elvis was sick. I mean, look at him. Why wouldn't you want to do what he did? He moved the masses. Michael Jackson moved the masses. You're so again, you're not reinventing the wheel. All you're doing is finding your slice and how you can do it. You're not trying to be better than them. You just want to be, you know, hey, I want to be where they were at in whatever for whatever reason you're doing it for. I knew for a fact I have two girls that are hammering away at volleyball. Um, and I knew that my job makes good money, but wasn't going to pay the bills. It wasn't for them anyways. Their tuition, yes, there's a possibility of a scholarship, but if you're expecting something, you're gonna be very it's gonna suck when you realize that it didn't, fall through the way you want it to because you're expecting things. It's not expecting, it's trying to design a future that's better for you and your family. And so I'm not doing it for financial gain at all. And it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I needed to figure out how I could give my daughters a better life, how my wife could have, a better life, you know, and pay their tuition. And so I was like, it's not going to be turning wrenches. It's not, right now people are barely affording groceries. You know what I'm saying? Now look at an individual. If there's a musician out there, think about it. There's one, they're doing their day job. Two, if they have families, they're providing for that. Their second half is doing their best as well. They can't, they're feeding everyone's mouth, paying all these bills. So how the hell do you jump off this exhausting cycle if oh man, that's one thing that I've noticed. And so I knew I had to snap out of it, because I can't do it that way. It doesn't work. You have to first work on you so much. And I've heard this many times. Work on yourself until you can't anymore. And then when you feel like you just can't get that past that barrier, hey man, break that barrier and keep going because it gets easier every time. And so yeah, I told myself it has to be something massive. It has to cater to everyone and everything. It wasn't trying to again, this isn't preaching or anything. It was more of like, if I can send out a message and whoever resonates with it, hey man, that may be a few dollars that can help me get a bigger message out there. And so that's what Indigo's been doing is we're not under a record label. I'm not, the only people that I've had, the privilege of having money from is my brothers. They've gave me a few, not a few, but they've given me some money, I've had some friends donate money. I've had some great fans just buy merch. So did I think that it was going to be that easy? Absolutely not. Not at all. I'm a realist. If I told you that going from 7 years old to, 21 was going to be easy, I'd be lying to you. It's I know everything is gonna be tough. But if you make it tough on you, it's just gonna get worse for you. And then when it gets worse, you're just ready to bounce. I knew it was gonna get worse before it got better. This is better, y'all. This is better. I'm talking to y'all about my project. You're wanting to know what the hell is going on in my head right now. And if you're not, I'm putting it out there like, why? What the hell's up with this dude? Why is this? Why did he get lucky enough to find this damn sound and I didn't? It's not about that. You have your sound, you have your painting, you have your pictures, your photography, you have it all. Everyone does. If you love mechanicking, you have that. It's just you have to own it. You have to say you're the best at it. People are always so worried about competing. No, you're competing with yourself. Why? Because then tomorrow you will be better than today, and it's okay. It's okay to be better than yesterday. Because if you're not thriving to be better daily, then what are you doing as a human being for society? There's, uh, you know, if I could tell you I was sitting here, that I'd be sitting here 10 years ago, I'd laugh in your face. I go, there's no wanting to learn or listen or any of that. I'm not telling you I have the answers. All I'm just saying, these are the epiphanies I've had. And why not share them with people that are interested in it? You know, there's other people sharing it with us. So I was just like, well, I'm going to share my experience, but mine is music. I'm not going to sit there and at a show, I will not do this. But if you come to me, I will give you whatever you're looking for. I'll talk to you. I will give you as much as me as you want. But I'm telling you, it is what it is. Hey, I'm not gonna change for anyone. I love myself. At this very moment, I am 100% content with where I am. If music stopped at this very moment, I'd be happy. I would be okay with that. If they told me, hey man, you can't do music for the rest of your life, you got to go do mechanics for the rest of your life to provide for my daughters. Well, guess what? Then I guess I got to figure out how to start running a whole business of mechanics. And guess what? I have two of the best mechanics that I know that I'm learning from, my brothers. Oh, 1 second. Is that you, baby? Yeah. Okay. My daughter just got here. I've been slacking so much working on NDGO that I haven't fixed my front door because I built my house. How you doing? Yeah? Okay. I'll talk to you in a few minutes, okay? Love you. Yeah, so I'm slacking. So my front door, my brothers and I built my house here on this property, so I'm very proud of that. And it's fancy to me because it's my house. It's very small, you know. I'm actually in my bedroom right now. And then it's
I'm
a
in my
small,
bedroom.
yeah, it's a small living room, small little kitchen, and then my daughter's room. Both my girls sleep in the same room, and then our restroom, washroom, you know. So, but I have land. I have land,
Right.
and that's something that I'm very proud of that my wife got while I was in Afghanistan. So, but yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate, and again, I'm content. I used to complain about everything. I was just a whiny little, you know, and I didn't see what I was being given, you know. I asked for alcohol, I got it. So, and yeah, I don't drink anymore, but I do partake in marijuana, and it is what it is. You know, I'm not gonna hide it because it has helped me in slowing my mind down. I used to, you know, there was a marathon going on in my head. It's like, where are you going, bro? You slow down. So yeah, it's taking time. It's taking some time to get here.
Have
And
you sorry to jump in there.
no, no,
But have you found any inspiration for music from like an extremely unexpected place?
absolutely. So during these meditations, sometimes that I have outside with my wife, we'll just stay quiet. We'll put on a frequency. We'll watch the stars, and it starts off with a almost like tribal. It could be Native American. It could be Southern. I would say South American. It could be African. It'd be Asian. So these sounds and a lot of inspiration comes from that. And so it starts off with that, and then I just again tune that little frequency to NDGO channel. Put a little bit of guitars in there. Ah, 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 ah. You know, you start messing with it. That's all we do. That's how we do
Cool.
it. So
Cool.
yes, it's weird, but it works. And then I love it. I have recordings um for days. I have recordings for days, and a lot of them start that way. So I would say tribal is, so I guess I resonate with that very well. I love it. I love it. When I know when tribal when or let me rephrase that. When an idea starts presenting itself and it's tribal, I lean into it because I know it's deep. It's deep and it's good. Whatever's coming in, it's good. And so I've been fortunate, and Broke Empire um was one of those that did that. It was but it's a deep topic, you know. Broke Empire, we see America just dying, and it's crazy to see, but it is what it is. We got to figure it out because I mean, hey, wake up, it's our country, bro. Like
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah.
We live
Speaking
here.
speaking of crazy things, you've gone on tour and everything, right? Have you
I've done one tour.
well, you've been on one tour then. So have you seen anything crazy while you've been on tour with the band and everything?
Hmm.
Had any experiences that were just like out of this world? Like we've interviewed other bands and they were like, "Oh, I had to call 911 like 4 times."
Okay, so I'm not gonna say where. All I'm gonna say is there was a show where an argument became a situation where an AR was presented, where I had to get my 45 ready to put this person down, and the homies, all every band was on the floor, and whoever wants to, you know, testify on that, whether it's false or true, it doesn't matter to me. But I mean, my boy Dave was there. Jeremy, the drummer, was there. So they shot 5 rounds in the air. I saw my friends on the floor. I was ready. I knew where I was at. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm fucking John Rambo or anything. All I'm saying is I thoroughly remember the training the Marine Corps taught me. And if that man would have aimed any direction towards any human being, I think I would have had to do not I think I know I would have done what I had to do. It's just that was probably the craziest thing that I personally had to experience. Did I second guess it? Absolutely not. Jeremy was there. I was standing where I needed to stand safely. I would have been safe 100%. Strategy is very, very important. So I yeah, that's probably the craziest thing. I think it was Enox. I think the homies in Enox were there. Jersey boys. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was very interesting. Again, Broke Empire. There's a reason we need to start talking about things. We got to stop beating around the bush and be like, hey, y'all, we got to have conversations. I would like to have a show where there's no guns presented.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not saying that occurs everywhere. I'm just saying that happened. You asked me, I gave you the answer. And that's the craziest shit that I've been a part of.
Yeah,
Do I want anything more of that in my life? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. No one should have anything like that or any of these situations. But again, Broke Empire. If we don't talk about it, how's it gonna get fixed?
right.
It's tough. It's a tough, again, tough topics. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk
So
about it.
moving on, besides your own band, I know you said earlier that you don't really listen to a lot of music nowadays because you're more listening to like the sounds and not the actual bands and everything. But is there anyone on your personal playlist these days, if given a chance, you would collaborate with?
Um,
Or would you like to collaborate with anyone that may not be on your playlist?
I have a playlist, and I'm actually scrolling through it right now.
He's
I'm
like, oh,
gonna.
let me look at this playlist. Who do I want to collaborate with?
So I think at the moment the people I want to collaborate are producers. I want to find a producer that wants to be patient enough to work with me. Um, and just see what sound they hear. Basically, hey, I have all this. I'm gonna give you all of these sounds. What can we construct together? Because again, I don't sit behind a computer either. Again, I have sounds and I'm very confident about these sounds and ideas and melodies and lyrical content that I've had friends where they're very patient. Uh, Dave, Jeremy, Sydney, um, let's see, I've had Ruben, Jesus, which also known as Fro, EJ, Tony. I mean, everybody. They know who they are. I don't have to sit here and name them all. Every single one of them gave me the opportunity to just hear me out. And that's who I'm looking for. And sometimes you resonate with them more than one time. Sometimes it's just that one or it never finishes. You're not going to be compatible with everybody, and it's okay. You know? Um, I just now realized that as speaking with you. Like I just snapped that I look for producers or writers themselves willing to work with me to a point where we can construct something beautiful. And until that ends, then hey, it's time to move on. It's not, I think Indigo is just, hey man, I'm just gonna write with wherever the river's taking me. Um, or at least that's what's happening now. Because right now I'm hooked on Kevin Carestis. Uh, he understands what I'm doing. Uh, but I do want to give a couple of other friends a shot, and
Yeah.
not a shot, but like I want to work with them. Um, do they know this? Probably not. I have ideas for my boy Dave. Him and I speak about it. It's just he's very busy. He's got a massive project or he's got something going on. He's it's and not only that, he helps out all his friends. Eyes like fire, those are our homies. Daniel is a real one, man. Yeah, sorry, I jumped off everywhere, but yeah.
That's
All
Oh,
good.
okay.
but let's see. I'm very curious. Man, I how yeah, no, it's hard, honestly. They're all so talented. I just couldn't
Couldn't
again,
pick one. You just want to collaborate with them all.
I think I'll tell you who I do want to work with because the man, oh my God, I resonate with that man so well. I had no clue who he was till I saw him and someone told me about him. And is again, I don't know the music industry like art music like musicians do. I don't again, everybody's gonna be like, then why the fuck do you do music? Like I'm sorry, y'all. Like it's just I love music differently. I yeah. But it's Rick Rubin. I just want to and I just want to collaborate with him to a level, um, but not only for music, but to just speak with the man. I kind of want to talk to that guy. I want to see I want to see what inspires him. I want to I want to see what gets him moving in the day. What has given him that confidence of creating the masterpieces that he's created. And mind you, I haven't heard a lot of his masterpieces. I haven't heard of his work. but I'm more curious about the man, not his work.
Right.
And that's where I'm stuck at. I'm not stuck on the art. I'm stuck on the human aspect of things. You right now, you two have allowed me to be in your universe as long as I have, and you haven't said, "Hey, man, it's time to go." You
Yeah, get
know?
out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, right. No, right. And see, that's a privilege. People need to understand that. That is a privilege. You are allowing me to hang out with y'all and speak freely at whatever topic. You don't know what the hell I'm gonna say. Yes, you can edit and delete this, but the whole thing is you two are allowing us to have this massive conversation that we, us three, will feel differently than everyone else about this conversation because this is real time.
Yeah.
We will allow someone else to join us after this. Does that make sense? That's beautiful, man. And so I gotta know you. You gave me your time. Who are you? What do you do? What makes you tick? That's why I I don't exaggerate. You guys saw me. I do a personal video and I'm gonna try to keep up with that. I I have to. You literally took time of your day to get into my world. That's fucking insane. And so I can't allow that from other people unless I really, really resonate with your message.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin, he takes, I would say, and this is terrible, but I would say maybe 10 minutes out of my day. My brothers take most of my day, obviously 7 to 5. So we talk a lot. We
Yeah.
discuss things. We joke. We remember times. We talk about their father that passed away a few years ago. We analyze our lives with our wives and our children, and we're figuring out what direction do we go. Um, how do we, get ahead of the same repetitive thing? And my brothers basically doubled down and said, "Hey, man, we're with you, and I'm with them. Whatever their dreams are, we're trying to figure out how we're gonna make their dreams happen, and then I'm gonna be able to extend my arm a little bit more." So at this very moment, I am, pursuing indigo like it's my last breath, so I can give my brothers the opportunity to chase their dreams to the last breath,
Yeah.
and then a friend and a brother and a sister and a mom. I've seen enough suffering where I see blue skies more than gray. I love gray skies though, because if there were no gray skies, man, I wouldn't understand what a blue sky was.
It's
So,
true.
um, they're getting older, and so uh, if someone is if someone is dedicating that much time and love into your goddamn dream, then you owe them your fucking life. Give them what you can. And that I'm talking about, if someone spent 15 minutes, you better give them fucking 30 of your best fucking minutes. If someone gave you an hour, you better give them 2 hours back in full. You got to give it all. Your all. I owe a lot of people a lot of love. So I got to get on it.
Yeah.
I got
So
to
Jake,
return. a lot of time.
changing it up a little. This is the last question I had. Um, I was listening to another interview you did, and he was talking about how you and your bandmates are into anime. And I was like, oh, well, I love anime. And I was just curious, like, what animes are you into? Because I'm like, I was really big in like Inuyasha and like Fruits Basket and Bleach and like, of course, all the Hayao Miyazaki films. I even wore
That's
my my bacon burning
so
devil.
I'm glad it's odd that you asked that question, but not odd because it is what it is. So our former, so my homies, Sydney, Brandon, and Tony, those guys were anime 100%. God, they loved anime. And I remember Inuyasha because a friend of mine, it was just a brief moment of my time in Aurora, Colorado. They lived in apartments across the street, and they showed me that anime, and that's the only reason I knew what you said there. But um, I personally like Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball Z. Am I religiously watching it? No, I couldn't tell you anything about it other than I like some of the damn. I like what I watched. It's
Yeah.
just I don't have time. I wish I had more time to watch TV, but I don't have time for TV. I used to. One thing I do indulge in is this game called Apex. It's terrible. It's just it's Hey, it's like being in a casino. I'm putting in 10 seconds of my time. Let's see what I win. I'm dead. All right, let's try it again. You know, that's literally all I spend time on. But lately I decided to be a little bit more disciplined and got myself into you know, in a routine again, making content because again, we have messages to share and people to respond to and thanking them. So so yeah, but for me personally, I will go and try to watch Street Fighter, anime, of course. I guess older stuff, but I couldn't name everything. I never really, as a kid, I watched certain cartoons when we could, and I remember playing a few games when we could because I didn't really have a game system. We didn't have anything like that. Huh. So yeah, so I like it. It's just those are the
You're
ones that I resonated with the most.
you're not
Especially
the anime nerd, is what you're
no,
saying.
no, my homies were, and man, I would love for them to jump in it with you with that because they would give you they oh my God, I'm pretty sure Brandon would have had a kick at, Sydney. Yeah, they would have had a kick out of that one. But yes, but Demon Slayer, I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional because I was in this state already realizing who I was and how I love and me and my family watched it together. So it means the world to me. My oldest loves it. She loves it. My youngest is a little bit more like myself and my wife. Well, actually, we all four study our craft. We're working on, if I'm the musician, I spend hours here singing or learning how to sing in the manner of another vocalist. That's what I do. I study music. Again, I'm studying. I do listen to music when I have to warm up or because I'm trying to understand how they do that. So um, my body has been able to start adjusting a couple of things, and I'm able to hone it into indigo. And so my daughters will be on their phones studying volleyball. That's their craft right now. My wife will be running, Indigo, social media, plus running my daughters' media and getting them ready for college. And uh, yeah, my wife and I started very young with our first girl. Well, both our girls they're not far apart, but we started in high school, so I had to get to it, you know
Yeah.
joined the Marine Corps very quickly. And um, during that time, I met a lot of people that loved anime. That's how I saw some stuff in Iraq and Afghanistan on our computers. Uh, with a hard drive, we share a hard drive and get, videos and movies and watch when we can. Um, but yeah, no, we if we watch something, it's information normally, and not about the timeline that's occurring, more of like what we're trying to do is humans that truly care about humans, you know, the ones that want to try to shift into a better possibility. And it's not far-fetched, honestly. Yeah, there's obstacles we need to overcome, but again, if we don't try, then
Yeah.
so I want to try. And I obviously you guys want to try. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited.
So,
So,
believe it or not, we actually had a lot more questions for you. The awesome thing is, in sharing so much with us, you've actually answered all we had to ask you and more. Not even joking. We have a little chat on the side, and we've been knocking off. Oh, he's got
Oh,
this one
you
answered. He's
already
got
answered
this one
that.
answered.
You already answered that.
But it's seriously been great to get to know you. You know, I don't want to hold you back from your family too much longer either. I want to be respectful of that. But for our listeners, do you have any short message, anything else you want to share with our listeners?
my wife and I say this thing, all shipped happily now. All shipped happily now.